What's up, Metal Summoners? We are coming at you from the afternoon. We are coming at you from the evening in merry old England. But the fact of the matter is we are coming at you, and we are super stoked as always to be rocking out with you, enjoying our time with you guys supporting live music, and you guys supporting this show. Welcome to your Island of Misfit Toys. We've got Angel, we've got myself, but we're about to get blitzed. We've got Stuart joining us straight from overseas. First and foremost, man, thank you so much for some time out of your evening, brother, and welcome to the Metal Summit.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for you guys supporting new music and new bands. You know, it's just cool when somebody kind of gets what you're doing, and yeah, we need it. All those bands, you know, all those bands who are trying to get the breaks, and just thank you for being there for us, man, and exposing so many cool bands to us all. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Completely our pleasure. So first and foremost, man, how's everything going in the land of Blitz? And congratulations are in order as well for your record.
Yeah, we've just released our third studio album called Kicking Up a Storm, and it's just been astounding. We've been getting great reviews. We've been getting it's been amazing. It's our third album. Our first two albums. Our first album's called Welcome to the Rock Show. Our second album's called Fight to Survive, and this is the new one, Kicking Up a Storm. We've also got a live album called Take No Prisoners that we did a while ago, but. Yeah, we've been going a while, and I think this new album it's just took off so well. You know, we've had such a great response. It's been really cool.
Absolutely, man, for sure. And with the response that it's been getting, I mean, of course, you're always going to be excited, especially as a band collectively, to have new music out there for people to listen to. But when you see a response and you take all the various criticisms that you may or may not get when new albums are released, but when you do have a genuinely positive response to your newest record, I mean, Stuart, that's got to feel amazing.
It is great, you know, and bands work, not just Blitz, but all those bands out there. We're working so hard to get heard and to just get a break. You know, it's no longer the days of the big recording contracts and the big deals. Nowadays, you know, you're just happy that people dig your music, and that, you know, you can pay your petrol home in the van. You know, it's not the old days of, you know, all that's kind of, you got to work 100 times harder, I think, in the modern music business. But we've been really lucky. We're surrounded by some cool people, and I think that's the key to a lot of it. You know, we've got Shock Records and Vanity Music who've put this out in the States, and the marvelous, amazing Dave Tedder, who's just been so cool. You know, we had a few problems with the first time we were putting out the new album, Kicking Up a Storm. We couldn't get, due to some slight production things, the date got pushed back a little bit. So, but when we got there, it all clicked together. It's just been pure magic. It's just been amazing, mate. It just means so much. And people hear your music and they dig it and they get it, and you can't ask for any more, you know?
Absolutely, 100% for sure. So for people that are either new to your band or discovering your band for the first time, whether it's through Kicking Up a Storm or the love of our Metal Summoners that are watching you right now, give us a little bit of history on the formation of Blitz and how you guys got together.
Right. How we got together, it all started, we're a Nottingham based, we're all from Nottingham in the UK, you know, the home of Robin Hood, Sherwood Forest, and Kevin Costner and all that stuff. So we all Nottingham based, and our guitarist Kevin Simpson, he worked at a rehearsal studio in Nottingham, and he was booking the bands in, and I was in a band and he was in a band, and we were in quite hardcore outfits at the time. And I noticed on his arm he's got a massive Ace Frehley tattoo from the '78 solo album. He's got the face on his arm, and he's got a Queen tattoo as well. And I just got talking to Kev, and I said, man, the bands that I loved when I first started playing when I was a real kid, you know, like 14, 15 years old, you know, bands like Cheap Trick and Van Halen and Kiss and we both got talking, and we thought, wouldn't it be great if we tried to get back to the essence of those kind of bands that got us playing in the first place. And I was in a band that was very angry, and I forgot what I was angry about. I was in and some bands are brilliant at that. You've got Lamb of God, and a lot of hardcore bands are just so cool. But I was losing my essence of why I was angry. So we talked about doing something a bit more rock and roll. So we got together and started writing material. So we had a demo of 5 or 6 songs, and in my day job, I work with people and young people with disabilities. And there's a guy who used to come in, a cool-looking guy, had all the hair and the beard, and he looked the part. And somebody told me that he was a drummer. He's a really cool drummer. So I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, "Dude, would you be interested in coming down and trying out for me and this guy? We're working together. I sing and play bass. This guy plays guitar. We were just looking for a really cool drummer." Our drummer Matt is a massive Metallica fan. He's the big blast beats. So I think, is he going to get this kind of rock and roll vibe that we were going for? And Matt just happens to be a big Queen fan as well. So when we got together in a room, I gave him a demo with the songs. He went away and learned the songs. We got together in a room, and it was just pure magic. Matt brings, if you ever we listen to Blitz, we're a rock and roll band, but we've got a really cool, hard backbone. Matt really puts those blast beats in, and he's not scared. So don't expect some wimp out rock and roll. We balls to the wall band, and we took that essence, and it just went so well. We started recording together, then we ended up going on the road, and we really clicked. We wanted to be a band that puts on a great show and plays cool music, and anybody can walk in the room and think, I am having such a fucking great time, And I think that's what Blitz are all about.
Absolutely, man, for sure. I mean, we're definitely down for that. Angel and I are both big Kiss guys. And when it comes to Queen, you're 100% speaking my language, man. I love Queen. I'm a huge Queen nerd. So we're definitely down for that. And you can also definitely tell when a camaraderie is built, and you definitely have a chemistry, whether it be from somebody who's more into Kiss and Queen teaming with somebody who's more into Metallica, but you kind of get the big picture and you've got that vibe, because the songs are crisp, man. They're clean, and they come through very, very well executed, and it shows that you guys have an understanding of what you're trying to put out when it comes to Blitz.
I think when you're a 3-piece band like we are, you have to kind of think outside the box a little bit, because you have to write your songs with the kind of arrangements, because you ain't got a second guitar player. So Kev, our guitar player, is a real wizard. He really is. He's got that great knack of knowing what goes where and how to arrange a song, and he knows where to play and when to play, which is kind of important. And I think when you're a 3-piece, you have to arrange songs like that. I mean, I sing and play bass, so I have to kind of, you have to work out what's going to fit where, and the dynamics and how it works. And I think we've had to work really hard on that as well, because being a bass player that sings and plays and fronts the band, so to speak, if the other guys are okay with that, it's that thing where you have to play the front man, and as well as being the bass player and as well as singing. So you have to kind of, be conscious of that thing that you've got a bass around your neck, and all those aspects of being in a band, they all come together. And I think we work really hard on that. We work hard on giving a really good live experience, and involving the audience, not just playing at them, but playing with them and getting them to be part of the band. That's always what goes through my head when I hit the stages. Some of the greatest frontmen. I mean, Freddie. We've got a song on the new album, Kicking Up a Storm, called Freddie Said, and that's dedicated to Freddie Mercury of Queen. For us, he's just one of the best frontmen that ever lived. You've got David Lee Roth, and you've got Paul Stanley, you've got Freddie Mercury. Rock is kind of built on those absolutely amazing frontmen, and you've got to try and take a leaf out of the book and watch how these guys engaged an audience and did it, and I think that's what we try and do. We try and be a band that's entertaining as well as writing great tunes, you know. And I think every aspect of Blitz, from the logo to the artwork to the photography, we try and pull all that together. You got to learn from the masters, you know. You got to learn from the masters, you know, with Alice Cooper or it's Kiss. How these people put together what they did, and you know, there's so many cool bands. And Aerosmith, we love Aerosmith as well. Cool. Early Aerosmith.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely, Stuart. And it's also one of those things too, where with you guys being a three-piece, also with yourself being the singer and the bass player as well, you know, one of the things that always, you know, set Motorhead apart as well was there was also a certain amount of simplicity that came with that band. You know, while Lemmy is still Lemmy, and you know, the tunes are so great, there was always a certain amount of simplicity, knowing that, you know, there's certain amounts of not reinventing the wheel, but it's about making sure that the appropriate cogs fit. And just like you were saying about not having a second guitar player and making sure that like the guitar parts fit in the right way, the bass parts fit in the right way, the drummers, the rhythm section is in check as well. You know, it all needs to blend and work in a certain way. And that's the thing, one of the things that I've always personally admired about proper three-piece bands is knowing how to make the sound relevant for each part, knowing that there's no backup.
You know, as a bass player, I mean, I've got you have lots of influences. You know, started off, you know, Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy, and you've got all these great bass player singers, and not just that. I mean, I'm a big Prince fan as well. Just the musicality involved with Prince, the pure. Wow, could that guy play an instrument and deliver a set, you know? And Guns N' Roses as well, you know. We intertwine all that, and if you listen to the album, you'll get bits where I might drop a little bit of a funk beat in, and Matt will follow me, and then we'll go straight into a blast beat, and then we keep aiming for being very unafraid, you know. We're aiming to be a band. We're a rock and roll band, and like you say, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just trying to give people a new ride on the wheel, you know?
Absolutely, man. 100% for sure. We definitely agree here. Angel, my guy, let's kick it over to you, my friend. Why don't we let you take it away?
Yeah, just want to ask, what bass do you prefer, the 4-string or the 5-string bass?
I'm a four-string guy. I play Ernie Ball, Music Man, Stingrays. I've got 3. I've been really lucky. I've got 3. So yeah, that's my instrument of choice. You know, 5 strings are cool if you're doing a lot of drop tuning things and things like that. But if we're going to drop tune, we'd probably do it in a studio, and then I'd have a second bass on stage. I'm just not a big fan of 5 strings. I just don't know. I know it works really, really well. You know, when you thump on that, you do a drop D on your E string, and you ride it for some. It can make a song sound really fat. But I'd sooner just down tune another bass and have another bass on stage and switch between songs. It's just the feel of it. I can't get the feel of it. The 5 string. That's a personal thing. You know?
I'm a 4-string guy myself too. 5s are nice, but 4 is better.
Yeah, I think it's how you learn initially. You know, it's like the whole thing with 5. It just spaces my head out. It's not a big change, but you know, it's a lot of our songs we record in E flat, and that's we tune down a step. It's the old Kiss trick.
Yeah.
The reason we do that is, again, it's just simply because being a 3-piece, it fattens the sound out a bit. And it means when our guitarist Kev goes into a solo, it means me and Matt can fatten the sound out a little bit. That's the main reason we use the E flat tuning, in all our music, really.
Absolutely, for sure. When it came to like putting together like kicking up a storm, you know, one of the things that Angel and I talk a lot about with our guests that are putting out albums is the story that you want to tell with it. And what can you tell us about like the way that you guys arranged your songs on display? Because like Angel and I are albums people. Like we're physical copy guys, but we're album people and the story that they tell. So how did you guys look at the presentation of the songs in the order that you released them?
the way we did it was the themes that I use as a lyricist. I use a lot of down to earth stuff. I tend to write about things I know. Like the opening track, Breakneck, basically is about us getting back from gigs, and it's about the live experience. And so we knew that was going to be the opener on the album. And then I think the second track, Shell Shocked, that's got a kind of the reason we put Shell Shocked in there was because the backbeat is so different to Breakneck that it gives the listeners a slightly different experience. So it's kind of building. So each track, the way we put it together was each track builds as it's going along. And there's even a piano song in there on the second side called "I'll Find You in Yesterday," which Kev played the piano on that. And, you know, he's a really good pianist as well. And we've tried to arrange it in a way that you can put it on, you can turn it up, and it's a little bit of a journey, you know. And then it all follows through. The whole thing of Kicking Up a Storm is it's our third studio album. We recorded it at the same place we recorded the last two albums, a place called Axis Studios in Doncaster in UK, with a guy called Matt Ellis. Matt Ellis is quite known for working with a band who do really well in the UK called Massive Wagons and a few other acts. But he's also worked with pop acts in the past and things like that. So his production is quite wide. He's not a guy that's just gonna. We've never been a band that wants to put ourselves totally in a corner. So producer Matt Ellis really did a great job of giving us space to say, well, why don't you try and take it in this direction? So yeah, the whole thing with the album is to give somebody a little bit of a journey, you know. Like when I remember being a 13-year-old kid and buying Destroyer from the local record store with my pocket money. And I remember I went with my mum because it was money I'd kind of saved up. And the woman at the counter wanted to sell me ABBA, Voulez-Vous. And I was like, no. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I want this. And the woman at the counter was saying, you sure you want this? You know, because they look pretty. It's hard to believe, but back in the day, they looked pretty out there, you know. And my mum was like, no, this is the record he wants. You know? So I remember getting that record home and putting the needle on the record and hearing that theatrical beginning where he's getting up in the morning, he's getting in the car, he's turning, you know, he's revving up the car, and then it goes into Detroit Rock City. And that's when I was sold on rock and roll, you know, when I heard that intro and I heard the whole of Destroyer. Such a big production. Bob Ezrin, great producer. For me personally, that was, as a kid, it was like escaping to another place. You know, it took my whole. I mean, I'm from a small mining village, and to hear this big sound that just, you know, I don't know how you describe it. Apart from years later, you know, I've been to New York quite a few times, and I think New York is kind of the vibe. When I listen to Destroyer, it's how as a kid I imagined America to sound and be this big, powerful.
No, absolutely, man. And
you know, almost a little frightening, you know. And that's what I loved about that album, and that's the album that got me into rock and roll, really.
For sure, man. And one of the things I also think is actually really interesting about your album and the way that it's arranged is your title track actually ends the record, which isn't overly like common. It might not necessarily be track one, but I've always like kind of found that the average title track is in about like the upper third of the record. But you actually close your record with Kicking Up a Storm, with Hesitate and Crawling on Glass preceding it. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting, you know, decision for you guys to make. Not in a bad way. I just think it's kind of cool where it's like bringing it kind of back full circle. It's like, hey, and by the way, we're gonna, you know, end this record by reminding you guys that this is Kicking Up a Storm. And I just think that's kind of cool. Was there any thought process behind that?
And no, it's just it was the way we were writing at the time. And when we come to picking a title for the album, we kind of liked Kicking Up a Storm, and It just got, when we got to where to put it, it would have been the obvious thing to stick it up front and put it as number one, but we just felt, because of the vibe of the song, if you listen to Kicking Up a Storm, it kind of builds and drops. There's a lot of builds and drop. There's a lot of builds in it, in the arrangement, and we just thought, let the listener get used to us a little bit more before we drop this kind of. It's got almost like a little prog rock moments in it, that song. So we kind of thought, no, let's save that moment for the last track. So that's what we did. We saved it to the last one.
Nice. And one of the things that also is, I think, is actually pretty cool too, that I wanted to ask you about is, again, similar to what we were talking about before with not only Kiss and Destroyer, but just artwork in general, was the artwork that you guys did when Crawling on Glass was released, because it's kind of got this big metal and monsters and kind of metalocalypse look to it with like the blue stuff. And I wanted to ask you a little bit on your artwork design, because it's definitely very like flashy in a good way. It's eye-catching.
The way our artwork has evolved is, if you look at the first two albums, what I will start is I'm a massive comic book nerd, Jack Kirby, and I'm just a massive comic book nerd. And there's a local comic store in my town called Ground Zero, and there's a guy who worked in there called Richie Adam Reynolds, and he's done various graphic novels and stuff. And I just thought this guy would be perfect. So I was talking to him about the band, and I said we want to create something that you can kind of lose yourself in, and have a really kind of fantasy element to the artwork. So he did the artwork for the first two albums, and he did such a great job. But because Richie started to get a lot of commissions and work with his graphic novels and his comic book art, we had to kind of look for somebody else. And that the guy who does all our artwork now is a guy called Dave Hurst, Big Dave Hurst. He's 6 foot blob. He's like a man mountain, this guy. But he's such. Again, I know him through the comic book thing, and actually we were friends before that. And he said, we sent him a commission to do some work, and it worked. We just clicked so well. He took the characters on board, because we do look at the three of us on there. It kind of is a lot of artistic license, but that's the idea. The idea is we wanted to create this like comic book look to it that's got like a slight manga feel to it. I mean, so we messed around with that, and then Big Dave Hurst is the guy who does all our artwork now, and he just does such a great job. He did the stuff for Crawling on Glass and all the artwork inside. If you've opened up the album Kicking Up a Storm, you get the booklet in there, you get the lyrics, you get the artwork, and even down to the photographer. We use a lady called Heather Burns, and she's such a cool photographer. We've been really, really lucky, and so we're pulling all these things together to kind of give it that Blitz look,
Absolutely. Did Heather do the opening shot with the three of you walking together?
Yeah, she did that. She did all the enhancements, like the background and where everything sits, and Heather's the only photographer we've ever used, and we've just been very, very. And that was all. Basically, she turned up at a gig. Her partner's a bass player as well, Jamie. We got chatting about bass guitars and music, and before we know where we were in a we were having a photo shoot.
Nice, that's awesome, man, for sure. Angel, let's bring it right back to you, my guy.
Just want to say, man, I love that you're still doing albums, because a lot of bands are now saying we want to do the EP, we want to do singles. So kudos to you for still wanting to do full-length albums, because look, when you're taking a long-ass road trip like I do sometimes, you got nothing but time. So listen to the fucking record. That's my message.
Well, as far as that, I'm really glad you said that, because the whole idea of just chucking out a track every 3 months just has never appealed to us. We all grow up, I can pretty honestly say, we've probably grown up with the generation where you did an album, the band did an album, the band toured the album, the band promoted the album, and it happened in that kind of cycle. And although it's a very untrendy thing to say in the modern world, you know, we're streaming and all that, we feel this is the way we want to do it. We want to present our music as a chunk of art. You know, we say, here you go, there's the album, there's the artwork, take it home, put it on your player. I mean, the dream would be we've not got this album on vinyl yet, but that is the dream. We'd love this album to be on vinyl. So
Yes.
that'd be the dream. But yeah, that's the way we want to do it. You know, like the days when you used to open the gatefold albums, and you just lose yourself in it. You know, that's what music is. It's okay streaming music, and it's convenient. You know, but we want to give an audience more. You know, and we want to give that little bit more that you can get involved in. You know.
On your site, you have quite a lot of sold out merch. Any chance of, how do I say?
Any chance of what merch?
No, I noticed on your site that you have quite a lot of merch that is sold out, which is awesome. So any chance of fans being able to go back to the site to maybe buy it at a later time?
If you get on there and you tell us what you want, we've just had the shirts for the new album, Kicking Up a Storm, so we should be okay with that. You know, we're just in the process, because the way we do things, as you can appreciate, is we order to order. So if we know, you know, we've got so many that we take out on the road with us, and we've got so many that we have in the shop. So, but we have just had a consignment of Kicking Up a Storm shirts. So just send us, you know, just tell us your size and off you go. Should be there. It should be there.
No, that's awesome to know. For the that, you know, like I went to the site, I'm like, man, that's a bummer. It's sold out. But it's good to know that we can just hit you up with the shirt size.
Yeah. We've just had new shirt consignments in. I mean, same as the merch and the shirts, we try to incorporate the artwork, the Dave's artwork into all that. You know, we just want to make things interesting for us as well. You know, we want cool artwork, and we want people to come and see a real rock and roll show, and we want to put, you know, our dream would be to have a real good traveling show. You know, to have a real theatrical, you know, from beginning to end performance. You know, that's. I mean, keeping it rock and roll. I'm not talking about vaudeville, Broadway, but doing something that is a real show. And I wish I could speak about it a little bit more, but we're already working on the next album. We're already in the process of recording the next thing. And the next thing is going to be, for Blitz anyway, we feel it's going to be a real, let's just say it's going to be a show from beginning to end, the whole thing. It's going to be a real rock and roll show from beginning to end. And we're going to really take all these elements, and we're going to, I wish I could say more about it, but it's not till next July, so I've got to keep my big mouth shut. You know what singers and frontmen are like. It's just talking.
Just gotta go.
Yeah. I don't want to give
enthusiasm in check.
I don't want to give it away, but it's going to be something really special as well. So, yeah, we're constantly trying to think of ways we can, you know, upgrade what we do and be better at what we do, and we're constantly thinking of that. You know, thinking how can we give an audience, you know, that a real cool experience. And we're quite pretty hard working guys when it comes to all that.
Mm-hmm.
So a fan wants to know, any plans to tour the U.S.?
Do you know what? We'd be on a plane tomorrow, really would. You know, we really would. Our biggest influences, I'm not kissing any ass here, but our biggest influences are mostly American. There's a lot of American. Apart from Queen, I think you'd find that we lean a lot on American music. And most of our heroes and the music we love comes from America. Because, you know, I had older brothers that were And I used to flip through their record collection when they'd go out at night, you know, when I was a kid, and they'd be listening to like the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd and stuff, you know, and I'd be listening to, you know, at school with my mates, we'd be swapping albums like Live Bootleg by Aerosmith, and you know, we'd be listening to like Kiss, and we'd be listening to Van Halen and Pat Travis and a lot of these kind of bands from that era. But as a kid, Cheap Trick, I'm a massive Cheap Trick fan. A lot of these bands just are American, so for us to get over there and play would just be great. It'd be really awesome. We'd love to do that. But as you know, nowadays everything's permits for this and permits for that, and the logistics of just doing things that bands could just do. It's just due to the modern world. It's just not as easy as it used to be. But we love to do that. We're constantly gigging in the UK, so we'd love to bring a show to the States. We'd love to.
And man, something about the UK, because a lot of, believe it or not, like a lot of the bands from America, like the Tiketos, Little Caesar, they're going out to the UK in the fall. King and Valentina are doing a tour in the UK. What is it about the UK that is, they're just so loyal to the rock genre? I mean, even in the 90s during grunge, when Bon Jovi was not selling records in America, they were selling records in the UK. They were touring there. So what is it about the UK that is just...
We have... There's a festival in the UK called Hard Rock Hell, and we've been lucky enough to play that festival 3 times. And some of the headlining bands that have been on that festival, there's Skid Row, and we've had Quiet Riot and Jizzy Pearl, and we've had Mr. Malmsteen, Mr. Wingy Mingy Malmsteen with the, there's a 3-day festival in the UK, and it's just the best gig ever. And what I think when we love something over here, we love it. You know, we don't drop it. We really stick with it. And it's the reason a lot of American bands come over here and they do so well. You know, we're not. You know, there's always going to be the pop scene. You know, there's always going to be hip hop and pop, and there's always. But I think metal and rock and roll music, if it's in your DNA, it's in there for life. You know, it's not something that you can fake, or it's a fad. It's not a fad. I think once it's bitten, that bug has bitten you, you know, it stays with you forever. You know, it really does. And I think we forget sometimes that rock and roll has got such a great lineage, and it comes from, you know, Chuck Berry. I mean, you guys invented it basically. You got Chuck Berry and Little Richard and, you know, Jerry Lee Lewis, and then you mix the Beatles went over there and just stole everything. You know, if you listen to early Beatles, it's just the Beatles in the Cavern Club when the Beatles started. It's just them copying early 50s rock and roll from America, really. You know, it's like a lot of their early singles were covers of rock and roll songs from America. And you forget that, you know, and all that comes from the blues. You know, you forget how fantastic a thing rock and roll is. And to me, all rock and roll really means to me is it's got to be from the soul. It's got to be real people playing real music, and you know, you got to fucking mean it. You know, you get on that stage, you got to mean it. You know, maybe save the ego for the stage is a little saying that we always have between the 3 of us. Is you get on that stage and you're there to kill, and you're there to put a show on, and you do whatever it takes to get that audience on the feet. But when you come off stage, you know, you're a guy in a band, and that's cool. You know, there's lots of people who can be a little, but we kind of want to be a hard-working band who get on that stage and just kick some ass. You know, that's the way it is. It's a competitive game. You know, you've got to accept that when you're in it, and when you get on that stage, you know. Don't get on a stage if you don't want to be judged. You know, you're going to be judged, and not everybody's going to love you, because that's just life. It's just the way it goes.
Everybody's a critic.
Everybody's a critic. Too true. And sometimes the critics are right, and sometimes they're not. You know, You've got to believe in what you do. You've got to have some heart and soul in it, and you've got to do it because you love it. You know,
Right.
if anybody in this business is doing it for some kind of bullshit dream of fame and fortune, I feel that they're the people I kind of pity a little bit, because you want stuff you can look back on and pick up and listen to the music you're making and be proud of it and think, shit, you know, I did this all for the right. I certainly want to be that guy who says I did this for the right reasons and I did it for the love of the music. You know. Oh, that sounded a bit preachy. I didn't mean to sound preachy.
Nah, bro. Preach away, preachy.
Hallelujah.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to believe it to do it, and sometimes it's hard, you know. Every band, every band has a little bit of a rub. Every band has that thing that you're not always going to agree all the time on everything, and because that's life. Now that's the life with your wife and your friends and everybody you love, your boss and your teacher. You know, sometimes it's going to be a bit of rub, but sometimes out of that rub, that's when some of the best stuff can come. You know, some of the best songs are born. You know, out of that little bit of. You know, that little bit of, you've got to surrender your ego when you're songwriting. I think you've got to put the song first and forget about, I wrote that bit, you know, that I wrote that, and why aren't we doing that? You've got to be objective and sit back and listen and think. The most important thing is that song is the best it can be. And if somebody, whether it's, you know, Matt the drummer, or somebody shouts a lyric or comes up with a piece of music that's cool, that's all that matters. No, it doesn't matter that we always do things in Blitz. Everything is three-way. You know, the writing, everything is split three ways. And the reason we do it like that is because it gives you that creative freedom where the most important thing is the song, not who came up with it or who did this or who did that. It takes the three of you to pull that off. But the most important thing is the song. And sometimes you can be in a band in the past, you know, I've been in bands with members who are like, no, but I wrote that, so that's going on there. No. And at the end of the day, it's the song that's, nobody cares when they listen to the song that, you know, Freddie came up with the riff. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is a good riff, and is it a solid piece of songwriting. You know, whether you're Rammstein or, you know, or Guns N' Roses, you've got to put that song first, I think, and that continual kind of battle of fighting for the song. I think every band's been through it, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's actually kind of funny too that you say it that way, because I was gonna ask you about this for just kind of a fun little segment. Is if you saw the Queen movie, which you probably did. There's that scene when they're off the grid in the little farmhouse, and they're literally having that kind of argument over the song "I'm in Love with My Car." And it's like, you're only shooting down my song because you want your songs on the album. And they're like, no, Roger, it's just because it's kind of weird. Like, what are you doing to that car? But the reason I bring it up is it's one of my very, very favorite scenes in the movie, is that, you know, when he's like, oh, fine, this is the way, and he starts throwing food at him, and he picks up the coffee machine to break it, and they all like yell at him, not the coffee maker. And I'm a big like coffee junkie, so like that scene always made me laugh, just being a big coffee nerd. But yeah, I did want to ask you, but it just was a funny little segment when you were talking about, you know, Queen and dividing up the songs and having the band be equal. Is what did you think about the movie?
I loved the movie, I really did. I mean, people are always going to complain that, you know, this wasn't historically correct in the timeline and da. But it captures the vibe. I think the guy who played Freddie was amazing.
Yeah.
And what it did emphasize that, you know, Queen, for the first maybe 3 or 4 albums, they were on the breadline. You know, it wasn't instant overnight success. They had to work damn hard. You know, and a lot of times they didn't. You know, I think Bohemian Rhapsody saved them. It saved the careers in the UK because they were like a smallish band that were doing okay. Everybody knew Queen, but they certainly weren't what they became. And they took that gamble. I mean, I remember when Bohemian Rhapsody came out, the song, and I was about 9 years old. They at first they wouldn't play it on the radio because it was too long. I think it's about 6 minutes or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they had to fight to get it played on the radio. And it was a DJ in the UK who was a bit of a rebel, and he used to play it in its entirety, and he kind of got it across. And people started to pick up on what is this weird and crazy operatic music, and started getting to the back catalogue. And then they had to really push to get that break, you know. And I think I think it was Night at the Opera, weren't it, that Bohemian Rhapsody was on. If that album wouldn't have broke like it broke, who knows? There might not have even been a Queen.
No, you're definitely right with that, and I'm completely with you on the movie itself. Like, there were little things that as a big Queen nerd, like, I knew there were certain things that were factually incorrect. And it's part of the Hollywood thing, you know, by doing it this way, it flows a certain way. It kind of makes sense for the big picture and stuff like that. So, like, there are little things that, like, I knew of. Like, I know that Freddie didn't meet his ex-wife because she was at a show and he went to her clothing store to kind of stalk her a little bit. No, she was dating Brian May. That's actually how they met. And I knew that he didn't meet his husband because he was a waiter at his house party. He met him at a club in London. I know that stuff just being a Queen guy, but I don't think it detracts from anything. The only thing that I personally didn't like, and I don't think it takes away from the movie, it's literally just a personal thing, is I didn't like the placement of where Freddie announced that he had his disease, you know, with the announcement before Live Aid. And it's not because I'm on my soapbox or like this big, like, oh, how could they do that? Because I don't like it. It's like, that is a particular life event that they moved up in time.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the only thing I really didn't like, is I was like, his announcement of his situation, you can't move that up literally in time, just in my opinion. But it didn't take anything away from my overall enjoyment of the movie. I love the movie. I think it's fantastic. I've seen it. I've lost track of how many times I've watched the movie, because I do think it's quite excellent. And I do think that now I'm drawing a blank on his name, but Rami, I believe, was fantastic. In fact, I think the entire casting of the Queen band was phenomenal. And I loved the little nuances. I loved having Michael Myers as the record executive being like, I'm in love with my car. That's where kids can get in the car and bang your heads to that song. Bohemian Rhapsody will never be that song, as a straight reference to Wayne's World, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. And Angel and I also had the pleasure of interviewing Penelope, the director of Wayne's World, when they were doing the 30-year anniversary of the movie.
Wow,
we were picked up to be one of the shows that got to interview her, and she's an absolute doll. So it was very cool getting to do that. But no, I think the movie's super duper cool. And I'm like, it's kind of that understanding of like the Hollywood that just kind of needs to be Hollywood in certain understandings. I enjoy the movie Rockstar, for example. I really do. Yeah. I like the casting. I enjoy the movie. I love what it's about. I do think that movie was overly Hollywooded out for my taste personally, but I do still enjoy the movie. But you could tell that movie really, Hollywood really got their fingers into the Judas Priest cookie jar and really took it a bunch of different directions.
Yeah, I think when you're a band that's been going a long time, like Queen or Judas Priest or Kiss, when it comes to telling your story, I suppose there's always elements that somebody in the band's going to say, "Oh, I don't really want that in there." And you've got that as well, haven't you? You've got. Do we have to put that in there? And you've got past wives, haven't you? You've got maybe got ex-wives in there or ex-managers, and it's to tell the full dirty story. Sometimes it's it's sometimes it must be hard. It's like if they did a Kiss movie, you've got so much in there, so much mess that you've got the original guys and the new guys, and how do you explain all that, and how do you explain, and there's a lot of things that went off, like when Eric Carr died and all that kind of stuff. It gets messy because life is, I think real life can be really messy. So how do you please? Is that a thing of pleasing everybody? How do you please everybody? I suppose everybody's life's a movie. So if you imagine what you'd include and who you'd include.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right. And I remember, I believe it was an episode of that metal show I was watching one time, and I think it was the interview with Sammy Hagar, but it was one of those musicians that had just recently put out a book that was well received, and they were asking him about certain things, and he was just talking about how, well, it is my story, it's my life story, and I wrote things a certain way, but I did have to take into consideration that there are relationships that I have where things were different at one time, and that doesn't change the fact that that happened, but they've got a different life now where, they might have been that overly crazy person with all the groupies, but now they've got a wife and children and stuff like that, and where it's okay to maybe hint at certain things, but it might not necessarily be appropriate to go into like the hardcore details of how your bandmate was living his life back there, knowing it's a different life now. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that, because I think it's completely accurate.
It must be hard. I mean, I keep waiting for the Kiss movie, and how much complaining I can do when that comes out. So.
Right, absolutely.
I'll be doing major complaining when that happens. Because I think Kiss fans are they're the best fans in the world, really, but they can be so particular. It's crazy. It's how particular everybody can be about, and I suppose that's when you love something. When you love something, you kind of want to know all the little nuances and who did what and where did, I mean, my son is in a band too, and he's a musician, and we talk about music. I think we always say we talk about music like most people, like a lot of people talk about football.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about who played on that and who did that and who produced that, and listen to the sound of the bass drum on here. I mean, normal people who aren't musicians do not talk like that, do they? They don't listen to an album and say, "Wow, did you listen to that? What is that harmony vocal there? Listen, it's amazing. What's that snare sound? The production. Did Bob Rock produce that? Who produced it? And music's always been like that in kind of in my house. It's the leading thing. It's like, I never did football. I was terrible. Soccer, as we call it in the UK.
Right.
We have this weird system we used to have this weird system where when your kid is 11 years old, this is the way it used to be. You took a thing called the 11 plus. The 11 plus. The 11 plus exam determined whether you were going to go to a grammar school, which is basically all boys whammed in a big school, or no girls. So you either get to a big grammar school, with people who've got money and the posh people, or you go to you go to what we call just a normal school, a normal school. So you had to take this exam, and lots of guys would want to not pass, so they didn't have to go to the all boys school. And like an idiot, I passed this exam. So I ended up from being 11 years old. It took me 11 plus. I ended up going to an all boys school, but it was uniforms. It was very, I don't know how do you describe it. It's cloisters and the proper English kind of class system to the max. And I'm from like a working. My parents were both miners. I'm from a working class family, and it was horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. But the one thing it did do is it made all the guys. We all there was a girls' school, down the road, and there was a wall between. This is insane. There was a wall in between the boys' school and the girls' school. So we'd all the guys would go down to the wall, and we'd meet the girls from girls' school, and we'd be swapping albums, and it was like everybody was into rock music. And I mean, I remember when Bon Scott died, and everybody made fake black armbands, and we wore black armbands at school, and everybody, because Bon Scott had died from AC/DC. So that was when I was 14. So, rock and roll, as you say, it just shapes who you are.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'm going to kick it right back over to Angel. But before I do that, out of curiosity, I always feel pretty confident that I know the answer to this one. But especially when we get to talk about Kiss, are you painted Kiss or are you unpainted Kiss first?
What? I was Destroyer from being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see him on the Lick It Up tour, the Revenge tour in the UK. The Lick It Up tour and Animalize, and they were great. They were great every time. To be totally fair, they were absolutely amazing. I've got a bootleg tape from when I went to, because I used to stick a tape recorder down the front of my trousers, and I used to bootleg the gigs myself.
Nice.
And I've got the tape of Wembley Arena on the Lick It Up. When it was the Animalized tour, when they took Bruce Kulick out for the first time, and they got to the encores at the end, and Paul Stanley came out and said, "Look, we haven't really rehearsed. We've rehearsed the show, but this guy's only been in the band so long." So they cracked into "Whole Lot of Love" by Zeppelin, and it was I've still got it on tape. It's the best. It's the best version of "A Whole Lot of Love" you've ever heard in your life. It's like, you cannot believe how good Stanley was back then, and Eric Carr on the drum. Oh, just amazing. So I think they made a lot of missteps in their career, but who doesn't? I think sometimes them little missteps, they keep it interesting. When you think about Dynasty and I Was Made for Loving You, then you think about Rock and Roll Over and things. They're all different, totally different. But, a 50-year career, you got to tip your hat to the boys, They did well.
Absolutely, for sure. Angel, my friend, descend upon us.
Any cool touring?
Any what, Angel?
Cool touring story.
Touring at the moment, yeah, we're at all over the UK, starting on July the 12th at the Musician in Leicester. We're playing with our good friends. There's a band in the UK called the Gypsy Pistoleros. They're a great band, and we do. They've asked us to come out on the road with them, so we'll be doing that. We're at Loughborough, the Casbah. We're doing a special thing at this gig on the 27th of July. We're playing the whole of Kicking Up a Storm in its entirety, from beginning to end. And then we're coming off stage, and then we're coming back on, and we're gonna do the rest of the Blitz set. So we're going to play the whole of the album. We're going to have special T-shirts available just for that event, and we're making a big thing of that at the Casbah in Loughborough on the 27th. Then we're playing the Night Train in Bradford on the August the 5th. This probably means nothing if you to you American people. This might as well be another language, but at Bradford, and then we're playing the Corporation in Sheffield, and we're playing the Delvic at Swindon. Most importantly, I'll get shot if I don't say it. From the new album, Kicking Up a Storm, we've got the new single, Crawling on Glass. The video will be out on Wednesday, the 26th of June. That premieres the video. And then the actual single will be available on all platforms to download on the 3rd of July. So that's Crawling on Glass, the new single. The video's on the 26th of June, and the single's on the 3rd of July. I've got to say that, or the guys will, put me in a headlock.
No, that's awesome. I mean, how did the idea come together for the show on July 27th? On July the 27th. So, like I say, we'll be
playing the whole album in the order of the album from beginning to end.
I think Angel was cutting for just a second. I think he was just asking, like, how did the idea come about of coming out, doing the album, and then taking like an intermission and then returning to finish to play out your hits?
Well, we've got a really good relationship with the guy who owns the venue, and we wanted to do something special. So we said, well, we've got a new album out. We're out promoting the album, but for you, let's do something special. Let's play the whole of the album, and in the order of the album, and then come off stage, have a beer, chill, then get back on stage and do the Blitz set the whole way through. All the songs that weren't in the other set. So we'll be doing 2 sets. So, and then we thought, well, let's do some kind of cool T-shirts just for that event, and let's make a night. We're even going to do a thing where when people come through the door, we've made these kind of Blitz tickets, so they get a numbered ticket, and then at the end of the gig, we're going to give away some albums and some signed stuff, and just make a real cool night of it, really.
Nice.
Awesome idea. I mean, it works. I mean, T-shirt for the show, it makes you feel special because it lets you know, like, yes, I was there. Here's the proof.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. That's exactly what we want to do, Angel. We want to make it an experience. So people come in, they get the Blitz ticket, they get they're all numbered. So at the end, we get on stage and we shout the number out, and then the people can win stuff. And yeah, we just want it to be a cool night, and something different. And the fact that we're not doing that on every other gig on the tour, it'll be something. It'll be a really cool night.
Damn it! I need a passport.
Well, if you check out on the Blitz, check us out on the Blitz Facebook page, and you check us out on the Blitz Crew page, which is like a fan page where we put more. People send clips up and things. It's a little looser, let's say. So on the Blitz Crew page, it's just because we didn't want to do the fan thing. We want people who dig the music, who want to. We share stuff with. We perhaps won't put it on the other page because people film backstage and do all things like that. We did a video for there's a song on the new album called We Are the Power, and that's a kind of song about the unifying power of rock. And the way we did that is we got people to come to the gig and film us playing. Then they sent the footage. Everybody who came, we gave an address of where to send the footage. Kev, our guitar player, who's just a wizard at all this stuff, he edited all the footage into a video, and that is the video for We Are the Power. Because the song's about that, about the unifying power rock music. We wanted the audience to film it, and we just edited it. So
awesome.
we're just constantly thinking of ways to keep things fresh, and just and involve the audience. Make it a good experience. So the audience. There's lots of people who come and see us time and time again who they're just like family. The people we know. We're really lucky on that. People come and see us and hang out, and we just have the best time. But so here in the UK, the live scene's pretty good. It's pretty good. But it's just the same scene, wherever you go in the world, and everybody's fighting for the spots, and everybody's fighting for the headliner's slot, and everybody's fighting. It's just that. It's just showbiz, I suppose. It's just showbiz, And I won't have it any other way, really. I love all that. I love that. It makes you work at being better at what you do. I think the competitive nature of it, it makes you really work at how can we be that good and how can we achieve that. I think that's cool stuff. I love that.
Nice. No, that's super duper cool. How's the Stuart? How's the like the venues scene like in the UK? Like Angel and I did an interview a while back with somebody from Sweden, and they were talking about how it was very difficult for them to like really get going in their own home country because there's so few venues to play in just because of the size of everything. How is the venue scene in the UK? Like, are you guys able to get out and about and play really regularly because you have that access to venues?
It's not too bad. It's there is a good live scene, like anywhere in the world at the moment. You know, venues are shutting all around and it's a real shame. You know, a lot of venues are closing, and a lot of people, you know, a lot of people just want to sit home and watch Netflix, I suppose. But the really hard, there's a really good hardcore, like we talked about earlier, is the hardcore rock following in the UK, and the venues are there, and it's just the same old story, you know. There's the gatekeepers who let you in, and there's the gatekeepers who don't, and you've got to work really hard to just, you know, we're lucky. I mean, the selection of gigs that we're doing at the moment, we're lucky because the band we're playing with, the Gypsies, they're just really solid, cool guys, and they know where, you know, everybody just gets on stage, and we want it to be as easy and as pleasant as an experience as it can be. You know, there's no 2-hour sound checks here, blah blah. We get on stage, we're a 3-piece. We're pretty cool at, you know, rough line. We have a line check. You know, you just give us a verse and a chorus, and we're ready to go. You know, we're pretty seasoned that way. You know, we've been around the block. Not our first time at the rodeo. We know what the crack is. We know you know, and you just want to get up on the stage and do the job. But you know, when it comes to sound checks and everything, it's great when you can share equipment with the other band, and you can have a good relationship with other bands as well. You know? Not everybody wants to be, you know, old school rock star.
Absolutely.
You know, it's about making it work. You know, when you get on stage, you can be whoever you want to be, I believe. But when you're off that stage, you know, you got a job to do. You know, you make sure your gear's right. You make sure, you know what you're doing. And you know, a lot of people, like, you look at a lot of bands, and even back as awesome and incredible as Guns N' Roses were in the early days, they were a force of nature, you know. But you watch those guys, and if they'd have been doing as much coke and alcohol as they were telling everybody, I think a lot of them shows wouldn't have existed. It's like they wouldn't have happened. But when they got on that stage, they knew what they were doing. You know, they knew. Sometimes people want to buy into that rock and roll thing, and the image side of it, and it's a tough cookie to crack, really, because you want to be entertaining, and you want to sell a show. And there's another side of it that you don't, you know, the last thing you want to be is a grade 1 arsehole. You know, you don't want to be somebody that people go, yeah. It's a tough one. And the other side of the coin is, some people who are arseholes are really creative people, and they're really cool at what they do. So I get both sides of the coin, you know.
Yeah.
You are who you are, but I suppose it's easy to be an arsehole when you've kind of made it.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand how that can be a thing for sure. Angel, right over to you, buddy.
Damn, I forgot what song was that? Damn, I had the question, but just left me.
No worries, man. Absolutely. So while we're getting that one pulled back up, Stuart, let me ask, with the current release of Kicking Up a Storm, and you know, everything you've got currently lined up for 2024, what are some of your personal goals? Like, what would you like to see achieved with the record and with Blitz for the rest of this year and into 2025?
I think what we'd really like is just to get to get better gigs, move up that little tier, and just so we can maybe some cool supports, maybe move up that way. We just, the way things are going at the moment is amazing, and behind the scenes of Blitz, we're pretty much self-managed. We have people who help us, like the mighty Dave Tedder, who's just done such a fantastic job with us, and we'd love to have him as a manager, but he's probably too in demand for that. But we're just looking for that. I think management might be a cool thing. It's always a double-edged sword with management, because we have had one manager, and we discovered that we could do things perhaps just as well without him. So we moved on from that situation. But what's great about having a manager now, because things are rolling in all the time now, it's getting where we want it to be, is that everybody has to speak to the manager. And when you're a member of a band and you say, we self-managed, it's like, oh, and we did this, we did that. Well, a lot of this we have done, the videos and everything. A lot of this is done by us. It's kept in house, and that is a cool thing. But the great thing about would if we had a management, if any cool managers out there, we're looking for somebody to be a fourth member of the band and come on board and just help us with the focus and the guidance of where we need to be next. And that's what we're looking for. I think if we could gain, move up, get solid management, and maybe get into them venues that we want to get into. That'd be great. That'd be enough for me, And we're just gonna keep being Blitz. We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing, keep writing the songs we're writing, and keep getting out there and putting on the show we're doing, and just see if we can, get to that next level. Would be cool.
Absolutely, for sure. Angel, right to you, my guy.
No, I was thinking one of the venues should change their name to Netflix, just out of curiosity to see what.
It'd probably be filled, be rammed.
Yeah,
be rammed. I think the thing about. Sorry, Angel. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, bro. No, I was saying tell one of the venues to change their name to Netflix for a week, just out of curiosity to see what happens. People will see like the name and probably go inside and
call it the Netflix and Kill Festival.
Yeah. Do you know what's kind of strange is, and again, I don't want to be preachy, and it's this. What's kind of, how can I put this? My wife has got this thing called follicular lymphoma, and she was diagnosed with this. It's a form of cancer, and she was diagnosed with this 10 years ago, and she's just done so much. She's had 2 lots of chemotherapy. There's a point to this. I'm not. This isn't a pity party. There's a point to it. So she had 2 lots of chemotherapy, and she's still here, and I'm a lucky guy, and I think what I'm trying to get to is you can sit and watch the reason we do more now, and I can't keep up with my wife. I tell you, we're coming to LA in November. She's totally on it all the time about us doing things, and the point what I'm trying to say is, you've got all your, when you can't walk and you can't talk, that there's nothing wrong with watching a bit of TV and a good movie. I love movies, but while we've still got the arms and the legs and the eyes and the ears, it's great. I think people getting out to see bands and doing all these things. This is what life is kind of about, because again, I'm not preaching, but in my line of work, I've seen a lot of things as well. People have strokes, and I'm not going. This is not. But anyway, your body and your functions. You need, if you can get out and you can party now and again, and you can make those memories, man. Because that's the thing that that's the thing that nobody can take away and stays with you. You know, it's the memories and the people you meet and the places that rock and roll can take you to. So, you know, if for one weekend you don't watch TV, you go watch a couple of bands, you go support some new music, you know, support some guys trying to do something. It's a worthy cause, you know.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, again, I didn't mean to sound preachy, but
oh, bro, look. My thing is, put the fucking phone down. Enjoy life.
yeah, get out, you know. Go and see your buddies and crack a beer, and you know, have some shits and giggles while we can. You know, do you know the world's such a crazy place? You know, at the minute, it pushes me to be more like that. You know, it pushes me to do more and get out more. Let's just say that. Let's just say the world's a crazy place. you need to live it.
Absolutely.
Now.
That's what a concert looks like.
Wait.
So,
Not to sound like Bruce Dickinson, but you fucking wanker. You've been texting.
put the phone away.
Yeah, you see the front people that are just like smacking phones out of people's hands and stuff like that.
Oh,
It's like look, if you wanted to watch a live concert on DVD, we have those too. You could have just stayed.
Yeah. The difference is Bruce Dickinson turns around and says, you know, put your fucking phone away. Everybody goes, yeah, that's cool. You know, a band trying to get a break would be saying, get your phones out and film this.
Right, seriously.
Film.
Yeah,
Phil, get your phones out. This is great publicity. I'll get your phones out and film this bit. So we're telling people to get the phones out. Bruce is telling them to put them away. You know,
you've been texting to the last fucking 3 songs. You're all
right. It's like you've sent more texts than we have songs on the record. Like, okay, talk to your buddies later. You're on our time now.
Yeah, it's a crazy world. It's a crazy world.
No, it definitely is, for sure. Metal Summoners, we do want to let you guys know that we've got Stuart for a little while longer, but he's been incredibly gracious with his time, and we definitely want to honor his evening and the rest of his day. So it is going to be last call for alcohol fans. Any final questions, comments, anything that you want to ask Stuart about Blitz, himself, or just anything in between, now's your time to do it. We always clear the board. Today will be no exception, but it is that time, fans. So anything you want to ask, speak now or forever hold your peace. Angel, let's keep it with you, my guy, for our final go-round.
At what age did you become a musician?
Oh, wow.
The womb.
Pulled out by my tongue. Maybe actually picked up a guitar maybe 12, 13. I'll say 13. 13 years old. Yeah, 13 years old. Mull of Kintyre by Wings. Bang, jinga, jinga, bang. My first song.
Do you still have the first bass that you ever bought?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Wait there.
Show and tell.
This is not the first. Yeah, this is one of my oldest. It's an old Washburn. This isn't the first bass. This is about 30 years old. So I keep all my stickers on it from gigs and things, and yeah, it's all there.
There we go.
Yeah, so it's an old Washburn. This one's about 30 years old now.
30?
And I keep it in my bedroom.
Wow.
And this is what I kind of write a lot on it, and I still use it. I don't use it live because let's just say it's been around the block. So it's an old Washburn B. What does it say on the end? B10 it says on the end. I've never seen another one. It's a really old, but I've got a lot of memories tied up in that one. So yeah, lots of stickers on it, lots of writing on it. And it's been everywhere. This has. It's been to. Where's it been? It's been the corporation, the underworld in London. It's been all over. I played the bands that I played. I was in a band. We supported Love Hate, Pretty Boy Floyd, Wolfsbane. Yeah, been around the block. So that's one. That's the oldest one I've still got. My first bass I ever bought was a thing called a CMI Fender Precision Copy. And that was my father bought me that, and I wish I've got pictures of that somewhere, but I've not got that. It's just, I don't know. It's probably in landfill now.
Ryan Ward wants to know, what's the worst band you rock with?
The worst band? What? Like a guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Either that, or maybe like the worst band you had a gig with.
Oh, that's a little cheeky. Oh, can I say that?
It sounds like Ryan's a dangerous guy.
Oh man, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy. There's been a few. Oh man, I'm not going to destroy any careers. No. The worst band.
Justin,
I don't want to slag anybody off. I don't want to do it. You know, as long as they were having a good time, that's all that matters. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's a band. I don't know. Who? Yeah, I don't know. You know, you do it because you love it.
Yeah.
And there's bands that you don't click with, and there's bands you do click with. When I was in a band years. This is a story. The lads in the band will tell me off for saying this, but I was in a band, and we were sponsored by Yamaha Music, and they did a big festival in Japan called the Band Explosion, and you had to audition. We passed this audition. We ended up playing at the Budokan in Japan in front of about 15,000 people. It's a big festival. There was Slaughter. Who else was on? Slaughter, Steve Salas from Steve Salas Colour Code, and Nathan East, who was the bass player in Eric Clapton's band. He was there as well. And we did this big festival, and it was incredible. They flew us out there and flew us back. That was one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
Nice.
I was a baby then. I was about 19. As a baby. But yeah, I got to meet Mark Slaughter. That was interesting. And I annoyed the shit out of him by asking him questions about Vinnie Vincent. So
I'm a Vinnie Vincent fan too. I love those records.
Yeah, I kept asking him questions, and he wouldn't. He told me to shut the fuck up in the end. We were in a bar. He's like, no, but you know, Vinny. He wouldn't say a lot, but there you go.
Nice.
you can play on Lick It Up, so that's cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A good musician. Let's just say an interesting guy.
Yeah.
That's all right. Back to you, Jay.
Absolutely, no problem. Well, Stuart, we definitely appreciate all the time that you've given us. But before we cut you loose completely, please let everybody know, not only your fellow Blitz fans that are watching, but metal summoners that are learning about Blitz, where can you guys be found?
If you want to check Blitz out, you can get us on our Blitz Facebook page. You can get us on Blitz Rock Band UK. You can get us on the Blitz Crew page. If you want to come on the Blitz Crew page, you can probably get more of a personal touch. We keep the Blitz page for updates and the solid stuff. The Blitz Crew. If you want to come on, we'd love to have you on board. Also, Kicking Up a Storm is the new album, but if you could listen to our new video, Crawling on Glass. That's coming out on Wednesday the 26th of June, and we're going to premiere that video. And the singles released on all platforms through Vanity Music and Shock Records on the 3rd of July. Yeah, so it'd be great if everybody could jump on board for that one as well.
Absolutely, 100%. And also, finally, Stuart, the biggest thing that always matters to myself and Angel is that, that you enjoyed your time on the show, that you had a good time, you felt respected, you enjoyed the questions that were asked of you, and that you overall felt that this was worth your time and a benefit to the band.
Do you know what? You guys are doing a great job. And the fact that you're promoting, not just Blitz, but a lot of new music, you're getting that new music out there and getting it in front of people. And I just want to thank you guys for having us on board. It's been absolutely, as we say in English, as we say in good old English, it's been absolutely marvelous and fantastic. No, it's been great, And yeah, we need to promote new bands, new music, and get it out there.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, it's absolutely our pleasure, Stuart. And thank you so much for giving us your time as well, for us to have such a great conversation, man. And you have yourself a great rest of your day. And if you guys ever need anything, just hit us up. If you have anything you need to push, promote, something like that. You're an alumni now, your family now, anything that Angel and I can do to help you, we got you.
Absolutely. Thank you, dude. And you're doing some great you did some great work. It makes it all worthwhile. You put this stuff out and somebody listens to it and they get what you're doing, and let's keep rock and roll alive and kicking. Let's keep kicking up a storm. And yeah, just include us and tag us in and everything, and just share whatever you want on our pages. You're more than welcome. And yeah, just cool, man.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. We definitely will, 100%. Blitz fans, Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys tuning in and rocking out with us and supporting the show and supporting new music as well as bands like Blitz. We all love our big bands, but the bands that are also the driving force that are getting out there and putting the grind on are bands like Blitz. So we appreciate you guys supporting them, tuning in, hanging out with us, and supporting Stuart and supporting Blitz. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for supporting this show as well. Make sure that you're following the Metal Summit on Facebook and YouTube. That's where these interviews take place. And also follow the Metal Summit on our Instagram page as well as our TikTok, because that's where we do a lot of our guest announcements and announcements about what we've got going on. You can follow Angel at Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram as well as Facebook. And I can be found most easiest on Instagram at Salem.Vampire. Thank you guys so much. We do want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors in the Mad Shad channel on YouTube. We appreciate his support and looking out for us as well and supporting this show. So make sure that you're giving a subscribe to the Mad Shad channel on YouTube. We thank you guys so much. Have yourselves a great weekend. Next week's episode will be announced over the weekend, and we will see you guys on Wednesday. Again, on behalf of Blitz and Stuart, we appreciate his time. And on behalf of the Metal Summit, myself and Angel, thank you guys so much. Take care. Have yourselves a great weekend. Cheers. And as always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.